D. Christopher here to welcome you to P3TV. Let's take a quick look at what's going on in today's show. First, Josh is going to show us one of his favourite Tenyo tricks. Then we've got a little interview between Dan Holland and Roddy McGhie. And finally, we'll be watching a performance of Definitely Not Marked by Brent Braun.
Hey everybody, Josh Berkshire here with Penguin Magic. Sometimes we get requests for beginner magic tricks. If you're looking for a good piece of magic that even a kid can do, you want to look at the Smart Guillotine from Tenyo. The prop is clever and interesting. The effect is super easy to follow and perform. If you know a budding magician, then this is the perfect trick to get them going.
I'm a big fan of Tenyo tricks, and that one is a great one. You can shop the whole range of Tenyo over at Penguin Magic right now, so go and check out some of the demos and you'll be able to see some really exciting, fun magic that's good for anyone of any skill level. I was trawling through the Penguin archives to see what kind of clips I could find that people have never seen before. Stuff that hasn't been published or stuff that just went under the radar and no one's seen it. I stumbled across a great interview between Dan Holland and Roddy McGhie. Roddy was over in Columbus performing his live lecture, and he took the time to sit down with Dan, show him a live performance of his trick So On, and they spoke a little bit about it. So let's go over to the Columbus studio now and we'll take a look at that interview.
Hey, it's Dan Harlan. I am here with Roddy McGhie. How are you, Roddy?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, good. Now, you're going to show me a cool trick called So On.
Yep, if you
which,
like.
I would love to see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, essentially what it is, do you ever get these? I get these all the time, you know, when you buy a shirt or whatever. You get these little baggies with an
Extra button.
extra button and a bit of thread in it.
It's very convenient, but you never use them.
Yeah, exactly. I always lose them. So what I like to do is just to sew them on immediately. So what you do is you just hold it against your shirt or whatever for a second, and then you give it a little shake, and what happens is the button and the thread, everything just...
The button's on there.
Yeah, it just goes...
Yeah.
Just shows itself.
Wait a second. No, and the thread is gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just
All right,
shows itself straight on there. But obviously that looks a bit weird, right?
Yeah, it is weird.
It looks a bit weird. So what I normally do is I find another part of my jacket or whatever, so like down here, and you can just, if you put it on here for a second and you wait, then it just jumps straight on there. And check it out. Yeah, sure, check it out. It's sewn on there.
It is. That is permanently attached.
And obviously everything is examinable now. You can examine the bag, the button, the whole lot, and and that's it.
All right. Well, that's amazing. You're a sewing wizard.
Thank you. I am.
All right. Now let me just talk about the requirements for this effect, because the effect is really great. It's very visual. It's very different from really anything that you're going to see. And it is actually very easy to do.
Really easy.
It seems like it would be very difficult to do, very challenging at least, and especially part of it, like dealing with making the thread vanish and handling that. That particular part of the visual is actually the easiest part, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
and
it just happens.
It happens pretty much by itself, by the nature of the handling. But just to try to wrap your head around that is a little weird. Now, it doesn't have to be done against a black background.
No.
You happen to be wearing a black hoodie to do it. You can do it on any clothing and pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. I would say that probably a white suit might
It's
not
not
be
a good idea, yeah.
A white suit is never a good idea.
even for, especially for this trick, but in general, no. Yeah, but you could do it against, you can be wearing a regular suit coat. You could do it just against your shirt. So it doesn't. The clothing requirements aren't that strict. They're not really strict at all.
Not at all.
Nothing gets sleeved. Nothing gets pulled away anywhere.
No.
There's a couple of things that are a little bit of a setup, and one of them was causing some earlier purchasers some consternation, and it was that they actually have to sew a button somewhere. So that's it. That's the hardest part of the setup, is you have to sew a button onto something. Once you've done that, once that button is sewn somewhere, that button actually stays there. That button isn't really. It never comes off. It never changes. Now, in addition to that, there is a stunt button that does most of the work.
Yeah.
Right? So the stunt button is pretty easy to prepare, and then there's a tiny other piece that causes it to adhere somewhere else, and you can make that wherever you want to, whatever your choice is, as long as you can get the final button to the stunt button, everything will work out fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted it to jump around more than one time, it could do that. Don't know why somebody would, but it's possible. But I go back to that thread because it is super clever, the way that you've come up with that. It's so good, and I think we can say it here, and I don't think you would mind us saying it here, that it took Michael Weber himself about an hour or more just to figure it out. Just constantly, he couldn't let it out of his mind. He was constantly thinking about how it was done. And honestly, if you hadn't tipped me to it, I don't think I would come to the solution. I really wouldn't figure the thread out.
It's odd that the thread part of it was really just an afterthought.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful one.
And I just kind of thought, well, how would I get the thread out of the bag? And it just, it was one of those things that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I thought, would this work? And it does, and it works really well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the solution that you come up with. So there's no gimmick to the bag, so if somebody examines that, they're not going to figure out how the button or the thread got out of there. They're not going to see any clue to it. At the end, like you said, everything is examinable. That button is sewn on there permanently. It's very solid. Now, what you've just shown us is like a basic presentation with actually no real storyline to it. But this is the first way that you came up with it, just finding this extra button in your pocket and moving it from place to place. Incidental magic almost, But you also came up with a really nice justification for doing it if somebody wants to tell a little story and focus the audience's attention in on it. And that comes with if somebody purchases this, they get that. And the basic idea of it is that it's, at least, I don't know whether it's true or not, but sometimes people who can't see will sew a button in a weird place so that they know what color they're wearing, so that they're sure that they match things together. They can feel a button is in a different place depending on the color of the outfit. So that's kind of a neat way to use it. And obviously you can come up with other presentational angles. The basic trick is so good. Now we should talk about walk around. It is walk around ready, but does require a little bit of reset in between unless you prepare a number of them in advance. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I mean, it literally takes seconds in the walkabout. Really, if I'm walking from table to table, it takes seconds, and even if someone sees you doing it, they won't know what you're doing. Really, what you're doing doesn't really match up with what you end up. It's hard to explain without giving it away.
It's about as much setup as it would be to put a button into the bag and put some thread into the bag. It would be just
even quicker, probably.
Right, a little bit quicker than that. But that's basically what you would have to do, is reset the bag and then you're ready to go. Other than that, everything else stays in the right place.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's really, really a smart trick, and obviously different from just about anything that you do. I should mention this, that last button, where the button ends up can literally be anywhere. So, maybe it's ridiculous to think of it, but maybe you want to have it go onto a selected card or something. It can jump from one place to another, wherever you want it to end up.
Or you could sew it onto someone else's coat, as long as you could sort of sneakily steal someone's coat away at a party.
But you could.
I have done it. I have done it.
I
did it to a friend. I sewed it on anyway. He had a hooded top the same as that, which he had left.
And you covertly got a button sewn on somewhere.
I sewed a button on it.
That's genius. It's worth the extra effort as a reputation maker right there. Fantastic trick. Thank you so much for bringing it to us.
No, thank you. Thanks very much.
Finally today, let's watch a performance from Brent Braun, one of my favourite magicians of all time. Brent is a very skilled creator and a very talented consultant. He works across television shows and also live shows, and he's just opened up his own magic shop over the last couple of years in New Albany, where he is. So this is Brent Braun performing Definitely Not Marked, available now at Penguin Magic, or if you're in New Albany, you can pick it up from his shop.
Yeah, boy. So this is a trick that uses 4 aces. Have you guys ever heard of marked cards? Is that a thing you're familiar with? Marked cards? They're cards that on the back they tell you what card they are. Oh. So like it would tell you it's a different card from the rest of the cards. So these aren't marked cards, but I can sort of show you a way that you could mark cards in real time, okay? The first thing is called daub. So it started as like pink lipstick. What a woman would do is get a little bit of lipstick and she'd rub it on the back of one of the aces when you weren't looking, and then when you look through the deck you'd actually be able to see that one of them was a little bit different in color. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's subtle, but you can see it's a little bit different in color. It's pink there, right?
Yeah. Right.
Now, it's so dim in here you might not be able to see pink. So if it were a little bit of a darker room, you use what we call blue hue. That's where you get a little bit of moisture off your drink, you rub it on your jeans, and then you rub that on the back of the cards. If you use that, you wouldn't need that pink stuff anymore. You could actually just use blue hue, and the card would be a little different. You can tell it's dark, you can tell it's marked, even though it's sort of dark in here. It's just easier to see that one's marked. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, there's another way you can mark cards. It's actually tactile, right? That's a thing you can feel. Because sometimes you're playing poker and it's just really dark. You couldn't see even the blue stuff. So you use what's called a nail nit. Check this out. I'm not supposed to show you guys this, but if I just do that, that's it. That's all it takes.
What'd you do?
Instead of adding something to the card, you subtly remove a little something from the card. If you guys look close, you'll actually see it.
What?
I just subtly removed the corner of the card just a little. I don't know if you can see it, but you can tell that ace of clubs is marked now because it's missing a little. Can you see that? You can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah, well, the blue, you wouldn't use blue. If you did this, you don't need a blue card, right?
No, it was blue.
It doesn't make any sense. Now, there's only one way to know a card's definitely not marked, and that's to use cards like these. These are bicycle brand playing cards. You get at like Costco or Kroger or those sort of things, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing is you know that card's definitely not marked, right? Because this one's pretty obvious. It's missing a piece. It's pretty obvious to see that one's blue.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious to tell that that one's pink.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to know a card's definitely not marked, and then that's because it'll say it real big on the back. Yeah, it'll say definitely. It'll say it's definitely not marked. That's the one that's definitely not marked.
Those were all red, and then
No, you can look at all of them too. Yeah, check them out.
No,
They're definitely
like, they were
not. It's not marked. Tell them it's not marked. Look at it. Definitely not, isn't it?
definitely.
It's definitely not. It says it's definitely. I doubt it's marked. Then it's probably not marked.
Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to follow us on all your socials, and I will see you in a couple of weeks' time for another P3TV.